Howdy, it's me, Bob Harris, from Football Diehards. It's your week 17 injury preview, review, overview, get you up to speed view thing, and it's going to be voluminous because it's week 17 and things get crazy. Those of you in season-long leagues, there will be a lot of pitfalls. You're going to have to check the site tomorrow morning, Sunday morning, throughout the day. Watch the inactive page closely. There are going to be surprises, things you didn't expect, things none of us could have foreseen. All these strange things happen in week 17. Big problems for season-long owners, but opportunities for daily players, opportunities and traps both. So we'll try and walk you through some of that and get you prepped. Hopefully you've been researching on the main site and finding all the information throughout the week, the various columns and news updates, and those have been helpful. We'll start with the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is the biggest issue, of course. Ben Roethlisberger, Le'Veon Bell, Antonio Brown not expected to play at all, whether they're active or not, and they may be, they may not be, but don't expect any of them to play. That means opportunities, though. D'Angelo Williams, Fitzgerald Toussaint are going to share the workload at running back. Problem there is they're going to share. You don't know which one's going to get the most work. Williams hasn't really played much since his knee surgery in October. Sounds like they'd like to get him some work. I don't know how much that'll be. So it's really, this one's up in the air. It's going to be your call on this one. Eli Rogers seems like a really good play there. Xavier Grimble's listed as questionable, the tight end. So Ladarius Green's ruled out already. So maybe Jesse James, Eli Rogers, both guys you want to play. Landry Jones will start at quarterback or certainly play the bulk of the game. Against Cleveland Browns, it's a good matchup. So you might want to cash in on that. Sammy Coates is off the injury report, so maybe a good play there as well if he can catch the ball. Other side of the ball, Robert Griffin III will play, cleared from the concussion. He will start. Duke Johnson listed as questionable with a ankle injury, so he'll be a game time decision. And again, a lot of these guys that are questionable that would have been pushed otherwise won't be pushed this week for teams that don't have anything to play for. For the Dallas Cowboys, another biggie: Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, Des Bryant, Jason Witten. Don't know how long any of those guys are going to play, whether they'll be active, inactive, or not. Mark Sanchez and Tony Romo are going to get some time, even if Dak Prescott starts. They may give Dak the start, let him play a little bit. Keep him warm. They're going to be short on offensive linemen. Tyron Smith is out with his the left tackle with his knee injury, so that's going to be an issue for him. At the running back, Darren McFadden came down with an illness on Friday. He's listed as questionable. He looked like he was in a prime position to get something done. Alfred Morris is also available. We'll see if McFadden's active tomorrow. If he's active and Morris isn't, boy, he looks like a good play. If they're both active, we'll have a situation like Pittsburgh where it'll be a share and maybe hard to figure out. I'd love to play McFadden if I thought he was going to get in the whole game. Guys like Gavin Escobar, Bryce Butler also should be on your radar for daily players. More Butler than Escobar, I admit. For the other side of the ball, Jordan Matthews listed as questionable. He's been listed as questionable for more than a month now every week with an ankle injury. He's played through it without issue. Sounds like he won't this week. ESPN's Adam Kaplan reported on Saturday morning that Matthews was very limited Friday and is closer to doubtful than questionable. Again, nothing to play for there. The New England Patriots do have something to play for. They're looking for that number one seed that would ease their path to the Super Bowl. So Tom Brady will start, listed as questionable. But Malcolm Mitchell's been ruled out. Danny Amendola's been ruled out. So Chris Hogan, Julian Edelman, Michael Floyd could be the top, the number 3 receiver there. Martellus Bennett's listed as questionable. He should play as well. Jeff Howe from the Boston Herald suggested that if anyone needed some rest, Bennett would benefit the most from it, the shoulder and ankle issues. But I don't think they're looking to rest. If they get up, yes, they're going to take guys out. But if they get up, the guys you played are probably a reason for it, especially Brady. So, other side of the ball, Jay Ajayi listed as questionable with a shoulder issue. Adam Gase has said all week he's going to play. And I would think he would start. I just don't know if I'd expect a huge game. The shoulder looked to be in a lot of pain last week, but he has practiced on a limited basis all week. Ryan Tannehill has been ruled out. Of course, Matt Moore will continue to start. For the Houston Texans, Lamar Miller is out. So Alfred Blue is the primary back, but they have other options there too. And you have to wonder if maybe they are a little worried that Miller's ankle might go into next week. Might go into the playoffs. Maybe they want to preserve Blue as well. They also have guys like Akeem Hunt, Jonathan Grimes, Tyler Irvin. So watch that one as well. Houston has nothing to gain with a win. Marcus Mariota is out of court. Of course, Matt Castle will start in his place on the other side of the ball. For the Cincinnati Bengals, they placed A.J. Green and Tyler Eifert both on IR this week. Some reporting the Green's unhappy that he got sat last week. He was ruled out earlier, placed on IR on Saturday. Season's over, just short of 1,000 yards. So That's the name of that. Tyler Eifert had back surgery on Tuesday, so that's something we'll be watching all offseason. Jeremy Hill listed as questionable. Bob Holtzman from ESPN has reported that he is not expected to play. Didn't do much last week, if you'll recall. Rex Burkhead got the bulk of the workload. Cedric Pierman also available. Guys like Cody Core step up with no AJ Green, CJ Uzuma. Tyler Kroft also won't play, the other tight end. So CJ Uzuma is a guy to watch as well. For Jacksonville, we've got boy, what a mess. Chris Ivory's listed as questionable. Marquise Lee listed as questionable. Alan Hearns listed as questionable. Neil Sterling listed as questionable. Hearns says he's not going to play. I would expect him to not play. He hasn't practiced once this month, so don't expect him to play. I would think Lee would get on the field. Ivory too. There is no T.J. Yeldon. He's on IR, so Denard Robinson's been removed from the injury report. Maybe he can be a factor, but this seems like they need Ivory to go. But you're going to have to check the inactive list on that one, and again, they have nothing to play for. The other side of the ball, Dante Moncrief listed as doubtful, so he certainly won't play. Guys like T.Y. Hilton going against Jalen Ramsey, tough matchup, but still should be at heavy volume. And all the tight ends, Dwayne Allen, Jack Doyle, even Eric Swoops is a guy to watch too. He's come on a little bit. For the Minnesota Vikings, there is no Adrian Peterson this week. He's been ruled out. Stephon Diggs and Laquan Treadwell, both doubtful. Don't expect either of them to play. Rarely happens for doubtful guys. Charles Johnson listed as questionable. Could be another Adam Thielen game. He took advantage of some weak coverage last week in his huge game. I don't know if I'd chase those kind of numbers, but still a very viable play against the Chicago Bears. And maybe Jerick McKinnon and Matt Asiata as well if you're in a pinch. For the Buffalo Bills, there will be no Tyrod Taylor this week. E.J. Manuel will start. Taylor reportedly has a groin issue. There's going to be ramifications from this if he needs surgery. The Bills are probably on the hook for $30 million. Sounds like they were ready to move on. If you listen to Jason LaCanfora of CBS Sports, from him weeks ago, the decision was made. So obviously with Anthony Lynn, trying to auditioning for his coaching future there, he'd like to secure the head coaching job after Rex Ryan's firing earlier this week. So a lot going on there, a lot to digest. Sammy Watkins and Charles Clay both listed as questionable, both expected to play as usual. Could be a pretty good game for those guys against the Jets if Manuel can get anything done. But boy, what a question mark that is, right? Clay's been playing really well in the recent weeks. Expect heavy run, though. That's been Anthony Lynn's thing. LaShawn McCoy, Mike Gillisley, maybe even Jonathan Williams get in the mix. On the other side of the ball, another mess. Ryan Fitzpatrick will start with Bryce Petty on IR, so the receivers look good, except Robbie Anderson might not play. He's listed as questionable. Rich Cimini from ESPN doesn't think he's going to play. He thinks Brandon Marshall will. He's listed as questionable with a hip and shoulder issues. Matt Forte has been ruled out and placed on IR, so Bilal Powell looks like he'd be a great play, except he's questionable. Has an illness earlier in the week and also dealing with a knee injury. So my guess is he'll play. If he does, I'd be interested in having him in lineup. So watch the inactives again. The early inactives, Austin Seferian-Jenkins ruled out in that game. For the Carolina Panthers, Cam Newton questionable, Jonathan Stewart questionable, Greg Olsen questionable, right shoulder, foot, elbow, respectively. Devin Funchess placed on IR. He's done for the year. Look, the Panthers obviously have nothing to play for either. They say they will. It might be worth noting that Derek Anderson has been ruled out due to illness, so Joe Webb will be the backup quarterback. So maybe a little more impetus to keep Cam in the whole game. This one, I'm not sure I'm that keen on playing these guys in this one. I have a funny feeling. For the Buccaneers, the other side of the ball, Doug Martin suspended for 4 games. Had an issue with Adderall, so he's out. And that was the issue last week with the late scratch as well. Charles Sims placed on IR with a pectoral injury this time, so he's gone. So Jacquizz Rodgers has a pretty clear path. You remember last time, week 5, he played these guys and fared pretty well based on volume against the Panthers, right? And they won't have Luke Kuechly, so maybe he's a decent play there. Peyton Barber, I can say that. We'll back him up. And Russell Hansbrough, they signed off somebody else's practice squad, I believe the Giants. So late afternoon kicks. We've got the Denver Broncos. Trevor Siemian and Paxton Lynch are both going to play. Don't know how much. It's going to make it interesting. So A.J. Derby's ruled out the tight end. Virgil Green will return from his concussion. Jeff Hireman's been faring pretty well. Devontae Booker coming on a little bit. But the quarterback situation there is obviously an issue for the receivers as well. On the other side of the ball, Jalen Richard, Michael Crabtree, Amari Cooper, and Andre Holmes all listed as questionable. I would expect them all to play. The Raiders will be playing to win this game, but Derek Carr is not their quarterback this week because of the broken ankle he suffered last week. He had surgery. It was successful. No ligament damage. So good news for him. By the way, that's same for Mariota. The surgery went well for him, I should have mentioned. But still, this is a bit of crapshoot. You would think the running backs would be in a good position here. Latavius Murray, Dwayne Washington came back last week and really played well. Or DeAndre Washington, I'm sorry, it's the other Washington. Dwayne is in Detroit. DeAndre Washington fared well, and with Rashard questionable, this one's worth watching. I would love to be able to play Latavius Murray. I think I'll still have him in some lineups, but the dilution due to all the guys, watch the inactive report to see if Rashard's available. That could help you decide on Murray. For Washington, Rob Kelly and Jordan Reed both listed as questionable. Reed is fully expected to play. He's looked better in practice this week. They need this game. I guess Kelly will play too. He's worked on a limited basis despite the questionable designation. He's got a sore knee. Mac Brown played pretty well for him, and so did Kelly last week too. So for the New York Giants, they're expected to play their starters. They claim they will play the whole game. They're playing to win, etc., etc., etc. But they don't really have anything to gain. So you have to wonder. Jarrell Adams, the tight end, is listed as questionable. Guys like Roger Lewis could come on a little bit. Maybe Paul Perkins gets a little longer look. Eli Manning's thrown 100 passes over the last 2 games. I mean, you'd think that they'd want to give him some rest if they could, but they say they won't. Trust them or not. For the Kansas City Chiefs, Spencer Ware, questionable with a bruised ribs. So it's not like, fracture or anything. He had an MRI and was cleared, so that's good news. But this one bears watching as well. I mean, Charkandrick West has been doing a little more, and Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce have kind of emerged as playmakers, so it's kind of limited where in the touchdown department. For the San Diego Chargers, Melvin Gordon ruled out, so Ronnie Hillman with Kenneth Farrow was placed on IR earlier this week, so Ronnie Hillman will be the starter. They promoted Andre Williams from the practice squad, so he'll be backing him up. A bigger back. You remember him from the Giants, previously a Giant. So at least we have some clarity on that one, right? No Gordon. So for the Atlanta Falcons, Taylor Gabriel's ruled out and Austin Hooper ruled out. Julio Jones appears to be full go. He's removed from the injury report. Dan Quinn said there won't be any limitations on him. He didn't take his normal amount of snaps last week. His first week back from the toe sprain. Sounds like he'll do a little more this week. It's a pretty good matchup. For the Arizona Cardinals against the Rams, John Brown, questionable as always due to the sickle cell trait issue he's been dealing with. He's come up big at times and disappeared at times since this issue came up. So for the Rams, Kenny Britt is listed as doubtful with a shoulder injury. Sounds like he will not go. Sunday night, big game, Green Bay and Detroit. The winner playing for the division in this one. So we'll have Theo Riddick has been ruled out. Andre Roberts is listed as questionable. So the running back situation was the same. Zach Zenner came on last week and played pretty damn well. Talked to Justin Rogers of the Detroit News this week. He expects a similar workload, maybe even more for Zenner given his success. The real Dwayne Washington will chip in as needed. Matt Stafford will continue playing with his finger issue. On the other side of the ball, Randall Cobb is a true question. Geronimo Allison came in and filled in well. They held him out last week. That was kind of their plan, was to get him healthy for this game. But it's going to be a game-time decision. Might be something you best avoid because there's no Monday game to fall back on, etc. So there we have it. A lot going on. Again, I can't stress enough. You need to hit the website. We'll have our inactive page up. I'll be linking to it in the updates. And you'll want to scrutinize those inactive lists to make sure that you're covered and make sure none of your guys, even the lower level guys, are surprise inactive. So there you have it. Hit the site, look for the news updates, look for the great columns. We have all kinds of good stuff up. And a shout out to Emil Kadlik, our publisher, who this week came in 16th for the season in the Fantasy Pros experts rankings on 100-some fantasy experts. He came in that top 20, number 16. So kudos to him for that. And by the way, he handles, he's the one who sets up the rankings on the sites on the FSP staff rankings. So you can use them with a fair amount of confidence, I would say. All right, everybody. Good luck. It's been a great regular season. We do go on into the postseason, and I'll probably be, it's a kind of a limited subset of the content we do now, but enough to get you through the playoffs if you're, playing in tournaments or daily or whatever. We'll have a little something for you, so don't go away. We won't. Have fun. Good luck this week.